So as ADHD entrepreneurs, we have a default mode and it's waiting, right? So nothing ruins our day like a 3 p.m. appointment. We got to stop at 12 o'clock because we have to now wait and do nothing until 3 p.m. And that's just how our brains are wired, to delay action, even when we know what we should be doing, because waiting feels safer than failing. What if I try and it doesn't work? Our brains are struggling with rejection sensitivity, and we dive into this a lot inside my Secret podcast series. So if you haven't already grabbed that, you can DM me, Secret25 on IG, or I'll make sure I have the link in the show notes for you. But it's really easy for us to struggle with inaction because it feels safer than taking a risk. And the reality is, not taking action guarantees failure. Taking action at least gives you a chance to succeed. And so we really have to flip this fear of what's the risk of not taking action. It's staying stuck. That's your hint. It's staying stuck. Welcome to the ADHD CEO show, the podcast for ambitious entrepreneurs who are ready to stop fighting their brain and start building a business that works for them. I'm Elise Smith, ADHD sales and business mentor, multi-six-figure entrepreneur, and the creator of ADHDpreneur Academy. I help ADHD entrepreneurs ditch the overwhelm, simplify their sales, and scale in a way that actually feels good. Every week, we cut through the noise with dopamine-friendly business strategies designed to help you sell more, work less, and finally build a business that fits your brain. I'll see you in the show. Hey, welcome back to the ADHD CEO show. Elise Smith here. Excited today to talk about that ADHD cycle of overthinking and waiting for the right time. So if you've been waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect energy to start, this episode is for you. Because here's the truth. Nothing changes until you take action. And ADHD entrepreneurs, we have a habit of waiting instead of moving. The common ADHD thought pattern: I'll start when I feel ready. I need to learn a little bit more before I take action. I'll do it when I have more time. But all of that is what is keeping you stuck. It's keeping you frustrated. It's keeping you overwhelmed. And it's making you feel guilty for not doing enough. So by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly what happens when you take action and why waiting is the real risk. Let's dive in. So as people with ADHD, as entrepreneurs with ADHD, we have this illusion of more knowledge. I just need to learn more before I start. And that's part of why we deep dive and rabbit hole into shit that is random, right? So give you an example. My husband and I could be watching, my husband loves the History Channel. And so we're watching some sort of educational show. And I'm like, I wonder how that started, or I wonder who invented that. And my husband's also neurodivergent, but we have a lot of different symptoms. So I'm very much the hyper-focus, too attentive, and he's the opposite. It will pain me to sit there and wonder that. So I will immediately grab my phone and ChatGPT it or Google it. And he's like, you just can't help yourself. No, I can't. I cannot help myself. But ADHD entrepreneurs, often we consume content instead of creating because learning gives us a dopamine hit. This is why you have bought course after course after course. This is why you are constantly watching YouTube videos, learning new things. And then what happens is that information gives you infobesity. You are now overwhelmed because you have too much information. Information without execution guarantees no results. You have to replace that learning with action. So every time you learn something new, you have to apply it immediately. And it's funny because I've been in a lot of different mentorship programs. Okay, I've had a lot of mentors in my almost 3 years of business now. And every one of them is like, you are the fastest implementer. I'm talking about, I will learn something on a call at noon and I put it into place by 1:05 when the call is over. And that's because I have learned if I don't, I will get stuck in this cycle of learning. And too much information causes me overwhelm and paralysis analysis. So you have to start taking action faster. And that's hard because a lot of our energy is emotional. And so depending on what type of day we're having, depending on, where we are emotionally right now, we may or may not have momentum. This is why you feel stuck though, because you're always learning something new. And then you're comparing, well, this guru said this versus this guru said that. And then you don't know what's correct. Because our ADHD brains really struggle with time perception, we'll get lost in that cycle of learning. You'll also get lost in the cycle of I'll do it later, because ADHD entrepreneurs often think you have more time than you do. And this is part of the reason why you take on more than you can handle. And it's from a good place. It's usually because you want to serve more people. It's usually because you want to serve at a higher level. But the reality is we tend to underestimate how much we can do in small bursts. And so a couple ways this has actually shown up for me in my business is, when I have an idea or I want to launch something new, or I want to, make the secret podcast series that I did, I will often say, oh, I'll get that done by the end of the week. And then I underestimate how much time it actually takes to do it. Now, I hold myself to a super high standard. So if I put it out there and I said I'm going to do it, I am going to do it. So even if that means like 24 hours no sleep, and I'm not recommending that, that is not healthy. But I have gotten better at learning on allowing myself the amount of time I really need to execute. Because one, we don't want to put out piss poor quality because we felt like we had to have it urgently done. But two, I also want to allow myself to have time to breathe during the process. And time is passing whether you're taking action or not. So in order to fix this, you really have to start before you feel ready, because momentum creates motivation. It's not the other way around. Confidence comes from taking action. I hear very often in my programs, whether it be in my membership, my academy, I hear very often that, I'm not confident, or how do you build confidence? I have this question come up a lot. And I actually just did a daily training on this inside the Focused and Free membership, because I do daily trainings in there for my students. And I'll put more information about that in the show notes for you as well. But this was an entire training I did for them. Confidence is built. It is not something you come out of the womb with. It is not something that just shows up. The only way to become confident is to do something enough to become confident at it. And once you have a history of achieving things or a history of keeping those promises to yourself, then you will become confident in new things automatically, because you're like, I did this, I'll absolutely execute and master that. So they say it takes 10,000 focused hours in order to master something, to master a skill. And so I want you to think about this. If you worked on a skill 40 hours a week, right? 40, that's a full-time job. So let's just say you are full-time in your business, 40 hours a week. That is 4.76 years. And you're giving up on something 90 days in. You have to understand that confidence and that conviction you need comes from doing the damn thing. And 99.9% of the time, if you're not making sales, it's confidence and conviction. And we struggle with that as ADHD entrepreneurs because of our, rejection sensitivity, our emotional dysregulation. So it's really something you have to understand. And I want to break down what actually happens when you decide to move versus when you stay stuck. So when you take action, you learn faster. You learn faster than if you just consumed more information. You build confidence through doing, not waiting. You get real feedback, even if something doesn't work. You know what to tweak. You build momentum. Every small action makes the next step easier. And we are dopamine-driven people. So when you take action and you're like, oh, wow, that worked. That's dopamine. That gives you momentum to keep going. So when you keep waiting, you stay in the same place, overthinking instead of improving. You lose opportunities to grow because you didn't put yourself out there. You start seeing other people pass you by, even if they have less experience. And your brain associates action with pressure, making it even harder to start. Because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. So I'll talk about a couple ways this shows up in your business and showed up in my business, okay? So couple things here. I talked about, you build confidence through doing, not waiting. You learn faster than if you just consumed more information. So when I first got started on TikTok, there's actually a whole story behind that. I'm not going to take this whole episode to share it, but I built a TikTok up in 2022-ish, 2023-ish, doing short form text on screen type videos, because that's what was the thing, right? 7-second videos at that time. I built it up to about 10,000 followers and I lost it overnight. I had 2 or 3 violations. And they were the stupidest thing, but at the time I didn't know any better. So I had done a B-roll video of me and my kids at the water park. And I guess because my kids were in swimsuits, that was like, child nudity or something. Please don't report me. It's already, the whole account's been taken down. But I was like, oh man, it's just my kids, like there's people out here promoting their OnlyFans showing way less, but I get it. I get it. So my whole account went down overnight because I had multiple violations for just simple stuff like that. And I took a break for a while from TikTok because I was like, this is just exhausting. I don't want to do this all over again. But in August of 2023, I was like, you know what? I'm going back. I'm gonna go all in. And I posted 3 videos a day on TikTok, not just B-roll, like me talking. So I created mass amounts of content every day for at least 6 to 7 months. And then I dialed it back to like 2 a day. But the reason for that is because I was learning faster. And so not only was I able to go back, look at metrics and be like, okay, people really like when I talk about this, talk about that. But I also got faster at filming. So I never encourage people to do more than your capacity can handle, especially as ADHD entrepreneurs, because we have days where our momentum is just dead. Our energy levels are just down. But the mass amounts of content I was producing, I was getting real feedback. And so I would learn what worked, what didn't, what to post, what not to post. And I built momentum. And I also I did what's called a content sprint. And I actually have an entire content sprint system you can get for just $37 right now. So I will put that in the show notes if you want to check that out. But I would film 10, 12 videos at a time on days where I had a lot of energy. So that way I was able to be consistent and put out those mass amounts of content, even on the days that I needed to be a potato. Okay. So you lose opportunities to grow when you don't put yourself out there. And your brain really does associate action with pressure. And that makes it harder to start. So I want to talk to you about the ADHD action plan, how to get your ass moving today, not someday. Because if you're done waiting, there's a couple things you could do right now to take action without overthinking it. And if you've never listened to any of my episodes, I'm very tactical. So you're going to want to subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you have. And download this episode so you can come back and take notes. Okay. First and foremost, lower the barrier. Make the first step so easy, it's impossible not to do. So instead of, I need to create a content strategy, create a one-liner post today. If you are that person that is really stuck with, I just don't even know what to post, you're going to want to check out the show notes and listen at the end of this episode because I got the solution for you. 2, check out that content sprint system because I give you the entire behind the scenes of how you can create literally a month's worth of content in a couple hours, but post 1 sentence today. If you're not consistent, if you're not showing up, 1 sentence, make it a big bolded post on Instagram, put it over a B-roll video, put it on Threads, do something, okay? Step 2 is give yourself permission to do it messy. Perfectionism is keeping you stuck. You have to start before you feel ready. And so I am the queen of typos. If you've never seen any of my written content or gotten any of my emails, I'm the queen of typos. And the crazy part is I have Grammarly on my computer, but I still somehow always have a typo, especially on Facebook because I type those out and I have really fat thumbs, like really fat thumbs. So I hit multiple buttons at a time. But instead of I need a full offer suite, make one offer. Start with one. You don't need to do what people who have been in business for 20 years are doing. You need to start. Okay. So I share the typo thing because I always have a typo, but I get it out there. And you know what's funny is when people draw attention to it, it's a conversation starter. And then I'm like, oh, my ADHD, but also I'm like, thanks for letting me know. I'll go fix that now. Unless it's an email, I can't retract those, but it happens. Broken links, they happen. Content where, text, something glitched and text on top of my face. It happens. I'm human. And so I want people to know I'm human. I am not perfect. So perfectionism keeps you stuck. If you keep thinking, I need this, I need all these systems, I need everything. If you keep thinking that your brand is not ready or your content's not ready, you are keeping yourself stuck. All right. And number 3 is use dopamine to your advantage. Make every action feel rewarding. Celebrate even the smallest wins. Instead of thinking, I need a whole sales funnel, I got to have 5 pages of upsell, downsell, cross-sell, whatever. DM 3 people today. Just 3. Make it so simple for you to get dopamine. And what's going to happen is, even though a lot of the productivity hacks don't work for us, building habits for 21 days, all these things, you do have to get into a routine. And the more you do it, the faster you'll be able to do it in the future. And so if you DM 3 people today, every day this week, you DM 3 people every day this week. If you do that for 7 days, that's 21 people. It's going to become easier. It's going to become faster. And then after a week of doing that, 2 weeks of doing that, you increase it to 6. You increase it to 10. And then as you're getting responses, you go automate it, which is exactly what I'm going to be teaching you inside the ADHDpreneur Academy, which I'm going to tell you about in just a second. But the biggest difference between struggling with ADHD as an entrepreneur and successful ADHD entrepreneurs are the ones who take action. The others keep waiting. The question is, which one are you going to be? Because the truth is, your ADHD can be a fucking superpower. Your high energy and creativity can lead to endless ideas, and you can thrive in fast-paced environment. This makes you so great at innovation. You are more willing to take risk, which can lead to bold business moves and unconventional success. There are so many testimonials of entrepreneurs, huge, successful entrepreneurs, billionaires with ADHD. But this only comes when you're willing to take that risk. And when you're passionate about something, you can hyper-focus, which allows you to work with extreme productivity when you know how to harness it. And using quick decision-making, that can be a huge advantage for you if you're allowing it to be. Because unlike many people who need order, ADHD entrepreneurs can handle multiple projects at once. And we often excel under pressure without systems, because if you love what you do, you can work tirelessly. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to burn out, but I want you to make sure that you are taking action because you have what it takes. Your ADHD is not a weakness. It's not a weakness, okay? So if today's episode hit home, I break this down step by step for you inside the ADHDpreneur Academy. Inside, I am teaching you how to build a dopamine-friendly sales system that works big time and teaches you how to harness all of the greatness you have inside of you, because ADHD is your genius. You just have to use it. So you can DM me, Momentum, on Instagram at socially.awesome, and I will send you the breakdown of what is going to happen inside the Academy and the link to get on the wait list. I'll also include it in the show notes for you. But you're going to want to be on this wait list because when it launches, and you will get special waitlist pricing, you'll get exclusive access to bonuses before it goes public. And then after that, it will be application only. So it's time for you to stop waiting and take action, because right now, everything you've been doing works against your brain. And when you start building a business that works for your brain, you are going to love what you do again. So with that being said, take a screenshot of you listening to this, throw it in your stories, and tag me at socially.awesome on Instagram. I want to celebrate you plugging into your business and learning. I want to share you with my audience. It's the best way to grow your own audience. And don't forget to check the show notes for all the resources. Send me the DM on IG, Momentum, or check the show notes for the link to the waitlist. I cannot wait to see you inside the Academy. If you got any value out of this episode, please leave a review. It's the absolute best compliment that you can give. Helps me know what you like so that I can create more content around topics that you enjoy. And until next time, make it simple, make it social, and make it awesome.